All right, very good evening and very good morning, rather. Welcome to today's session. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the conditions in UK, and I'm also going to be focusing on certain rules because rules are changing big time as far as students from India going abroad is concerned. As I said, the focus, however, would be on the UK, an understanding of uh, what are the areas where jobs are there, what are the salaries, and these become very important because unlike when you don't get a job in India and you can still stay at home or search for a job, when you go abroad you need to remember the fact that if you don't get a job, then you cannot stay in that country and you will be deported. Now, before I go forward, let's understand the most important point. The most important point is when you go abroad, the focus is not just education, it is job. For quite a few of you, it is possibly even the PR. So, understanding the rules of the job market and the PR would help you take certain decisions which will come handy later. I'm going to be talking about what is happening as far as the immigration rules are concerned in UK. I'm going to be talking about what is known as the shortage occupancy list. Now, this is not a term that UK is using anymore. It has reframed that into immigrant salary list, but the basic philosophy and the concept is the same. It talks about which are the areas in a given country where there's a shortage of labor, shortage of talent, and therefore the country is more willing to have immigrants come in. In case you specialize in an area where there's no shortage, then even if their jobs are there, and you end up getting a job in that area where shortage is not there, you will not be given the work visa at a later date, and you lose on the PR points, which is essential for you to get the PR. That is one of the reasons I keep telling students that be very careful when it comes to the selection of specialization. I understand you might be interested in certain areas. You probably wish to have a career in that area. But when you are going abroad, you're already taking a risk. To take the additional risk of taking a specialization where there is no shortage of natives in that country would result in you being at a disadvantage because companies would be forced, as per the law, to take the natives, which basically means even if the jobs are there, you may not get it. And even if you were to get a job in that area, you will not actually get the work visa at a later stage. Now, before I elaborate on the UK, let me also talk about the framework that is very, very common in all the countries. When you go to a country, may that be US, Australia, Canada, what happens initially is that you go in what is known as a student visa. Now, that student visa, you are basically doing your studies, which could be undergraduation or master's. I'm going to be chiefly focusing on the master's story here. But having said that, do remember this is also valid for undergraduation. So let us say you go to a country to do your master's. Now, the master's could be for 1 year, it could be for 2 years, depending on which country and what program you're going to go for. Now, in the UK, mostly the masters would be for 1 year. There are certain colleges which give longer duration programs where the second year is more internship or placement program, but your education would be basically for 1 year. So let us say you go for a 1 year programs. For that 1 year, you are a student, but post that, you will get what is known as a postgraduate work visa, which basically means that you can continue to be in the student visa and work. Now, rules of postgraduate work visa will differ from country to country. In certain countries like USA, you need to get employment. In certain other countries like UK, you may not get employment. You are searching for employment and yet you can stay back. But in US, if you don't get employment within 2 months, then you are deported. So these conditions will change. And as I go forward and cover various countries, I'll be talking about the rules specific to the country. Today, as I said, the focus is going to be on the UK. So 1 year, you are in a student visas. Let's say you finish your master's. Having finished your master's, you get 2 years to stay back in the UK, continue to be in the student visa, but get some experience. All right. Now, this experience basically is nothing but work experience. So you're working. Now, at the end of the 2 years, you need to move to what is known as a skilled visa. That is an employment visa. Now, if you don't get the skilled visa, then you need to leave the country. So what is the biggest challenge here? Biggest challenge is to see to it that you get the employment and the skilled visa at the end of the postgraduate work visa period. Now, if you get a skilled visa, then you can continue to stay. Now, how do you get the skilled visa? For you to get the skilled visa in UK, you need to get employment in certain areas and in certain companies which are known as sponsored companies. So not every company in the UK which gives you employment can sponsor you. Now, when you are working during the postgraduate work visa, you can even work for companies which don't have the right to sponsor. But by the end of the thing, if you really want to go for the skilled visa, you need to get an employment with a company that has the right to sponsor you. Now, that will obviously happen if you are going for certain specializations where there's a shortfall. But there's a second condition. The second condition is you need to meet the minimum salary requirement. Now, why do countries do that? Because they don't want you coming there and taking the employment away from people who are seeking employment, and these people being the natives of the country, the citizens of the country. And they don't want to incentivize the companies to take immigrants like you just because you are willing to work at a lower salaries. All right, that is the reason all these companies, all these countries have a benchmark minimum salary that you have to have. So only if you get jobs in those areas where shortage is there and the salary you get is more than the benchmark, that is the only way you can get the skilled visa or worker visa. Now, as I said earlier, this is true for all the countries. All right. Now, with this background, I'm going to be sharing my PPT, and what I'm going to be doing is run you through certain important topics. I'm also going to be highlighting certain areas. This is not a very comprehensive list, but certain areas which come under shortage occupancy list. I'm also going to be talking about certain what are the salaries that one could expect in those areas. And again, all these numbers you need to see to it that are in line with the specialization that you have planned for while going to the UK. All right, give me a minute. I'll just share the screen. All right. I believe you are able to look at the screen. Let me just check out my YouTube if I'm getting the screen right. Yes, I have shared it all right. Can you confirm that you're able to look at? No, I think you're not. Give me a minute. All right, let me see if you're getting it now. Yeah, it's coming. All right. All right. I have given you a brief background of what I'm going to cover. Just to introduce myself, my name is Abdullah. I'm the CEO of Condura. Basically, a mechanical engineer. I worked in the area of finance for some time. And since then, of course, I have been focusing on advising students who are going abroad. We are one of the largest international admission consultancies based out of both Visakhapatnam and Hyderabad. You have the numbers there. In case you wish to go for a one-to-one interaction with me, you can always ping us in that number given. All right. Okay, let me start. Now, let's start with the first important point. Is immigration becoming tough? Now, the answer is yes. Immigration is becoming tough across all the countries. May that be Canada, may that be Ireland, may that be Germany, Australia, UK. Why? Just that. Even for someone coming from underdeveloped countries wishing to come to India, immigration is becoming tough. The fact of the matter is, what has happened especially is that the technologies are evolving so fast that the efficiencies through technologies are resulting in lesser number of jobs. So countries are becoming little more concerned. They wish their citizens to get jobs first. before opening up for others. So that is the reason why immigration is becoming an issue. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the big development, a very negative development from Indian perspective that happened last week as far as Canada is concerned. Many students would prefer Canada for a simple reason. The PR there is very easy, all right? In fact, among all the developed countries and those countries which are preferred by the Indians, Canada was the fastest in giving PR, and I shall elaborate this a bit later. Now, what Canada has done is, it has now saying that, all right, if any Indian student is coming for masters, I'll give you postgraduate work visa. But if you're coming for a certification program, and many Indians used to prefer the certification programs, which because they were shorter in duration and the fees was lesser, uh, 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 and there were more options there. All right. So if you go to Canada, instead of going for masters, which is for 2-year duration, fees being higher, you opt for certification, then postgraduate work visa will not be given unless and until you are in very certain areas where demand is there, which basically has changed the whole ideas in terms of higher education for people who are going to Canada. Because as I said earlier, many used to prefer certification programs as a pathway to going to Canada, and later, of course, fighting for a job and the PR. So this is something that's happening across the board. If you look at Germany, there are certain parties. For example, Alternate for Germany is a very strong party in Germany, which is actually winning the support of quite a few Germans. Now, if you were to see that, what is happening there is that this party is basically coming into power, all right, in quite a few provinces. It is becoming more popular too. Now, one of the very important agenda points it has is that it doesn't want immigrants to come inside. So across the board, there is unfortunately this movement towards restricting immigrants. Now, I'm not talking about illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants is understandable. I'm talking about legal immigrants. And when you, as a citizen of India, go to a country as a student, you are actually a legal immigrant. However, it is not that countries are saying that we don't want legal immigrants. It is saying we have shortfall, we need talent. But what it is saying is we need talent of a good talent and people who are a bit richer. So if you look at Australia, for example, in Australia, the salary requirements for you to be confident that you will get visas have actually increased. So much so that quite a few colleges are requiring you to have a cumulative salary of all your sponsors cumulating to as much as 14 lakhs per annum. Even in Ireland, it's quite high. It's about 7 to 8 lakhs per annum. So countries are now willing to take legal immigrants, provided you are bringing the right talent where there is a shortage within the economy. And second, you are not going to be a financial burden for them, which basically means that you need to have strong financials. So as I said, this is something that is happening across the board. But let's look at UK a little more closely. What has happened in UK? If you know, in UK, there are two important parties. One is the Labour Party, which is currently in power, a Conservative Party, which was in power. Now, if you look at both of these parties, you will realize the fact that Conservative Party is normally against immigration, while Labour Party is a little biased for immigration. Now, thanks to all the political turmoil that has happened there, currently it is the Labour Party under Starmer who is in the power, which is a good news for us, all right? Which basically means they'll be a little more open to immigrants. Yes, there is a pressure that they are finding from their citizenry where, even the citizens of the UK are saying that control the immigrants, but it is still a good news. Now, having said that, it is not that the Labour Party is going to open the gates. The reality is there is pressure, so they are going to control it. Now, how are they controlling it? And this is where you need to understand this again, all right? Let me once again share my okay. Now this is something that you need to understand. As I keep saying, when we go to a country, we are going for employment. All right, it's just that education is a route of entering the country and probably trying to get a higher salary. Now, for employment, what do you need? You need a work visa. Now, this is a framework for the work visa, all right, that UK is following, which basically means that when you apply for the work visa, they are going to be giving you certain points basis your background, or whether you got a job from sponsored companies, then you get 20 points. What's the skill level that you're bringing? You can't bring in low end skill level. You need to bring in higher end skill level. How is your English? What is the salary? Higher the salary, you get higher the points. The place where you're getting employment, all right, the sector, does it come under shortage occupancy list or not? As I said earlier, in UK now it's renamed as immigrant salary list, all right. But the idea is they want to understand whether you are going to come in and work in an area where they don't have their citizens who can alternative work. So they don't want you to come and substitute their citizens. They want you to complement the what the citizens can do. So if you get a job in the shortage occupancy list, you get 20 additional points. Now, PhD, of course, people are treated special everywhere, including in the US. So if you are going for PhD, you get additional points. So this is the composition. Now, for you to get a work visa, you need to get currently 70 points, 70 points, all right, which obviously you will get if your salary is higher and you end up getting a job in shortage occupancy list. Now, if you don't do so, then you are not getting those points, which means for 2 years you can work. But after that, after your postgraduate work visa period is over, you have to leave the country. So that is the reason why it's very important for you to understand that the specialization that you go for has to be in the shortage occupancy list. You might be interested in an area, but that area does not come under shortage occupancy list. Then after the postgraduate work visa period, you will be forced to leave the country. So don't just look at which area excites you, because when you go to a foreign country, remember, as I said, you're already taking a risk. You cannot afford not to get the work visa later, because if you fail to do so, then you are getting a degree, no doubt about it. But that is not why you're going abroad. All right. So it's very important for you to, number one, understand the shortage occupancy list. As I said, this is valid for all the countries. The second thing, also to understand what are the salaries you can get if you are entering an area, because you need those both the points. One, job in the shortage occupancy list areas, which will give you points. Second, salaries, which will give you points. So this is the first element that I wish to talk about. Let's talk about the second element. Now I'm going to be talking about PR. Why am I going to talk about PR? Because as I said, when we go to a foreign country, you are not just going for jobs. You probably are going to be looking at an opportunity to get the permanent residency there. Now, permanent residency terminology might change from place to place. In the UK, we talk about ILR, indefinite leave to remain. In US, we talk about H-1B visa. So these terminologies could differ, but all these are nothing but PR. So the question now comes, is UK giving us a pathway to the permanent residency or not? Now, this is where I'm going to be talking about something which I normally keep informing, because choice of country cannot be random. Choice of country where you're going to go for has to be related to what your goals are. There are kids who love money, who say that, all right, I'm crazy about money, I wish to make a career. For them, US is the best recommendation. But if you look at the US, the pathway to PR is not very comfortable. You take decades to get the PR. And during that time, the mental stress that you're going to have is going to be tremendous. For example, look at the case of a person who probably went to the US, did the masters, got a job in Microsoft, made a lot of money, bought a good house, had children there, and then he got fired from Microsoft. All right, which is something that has happened recently. So in that situation, suddenly the person does not have a fallback, because if he or she does not get a job in the next 2 months, he or she has to leave the US. So US is fantastic in terms of career, US is fantastic in terms of money, but it sucks when it comes to the area of PR. So on one end of the spectrum, you have the US. Other end of the spectrum, we have a country like Canada, which will give you PR very, very fast. All right. So there is a pathway that Canada gives, which is known as Canadian Experience Pathway, where even if you get 1 year of good experience, post that 1 year, you can apply for the PR, which means in theory, within 3 years, you are ready to get the PR. So Canada is the fastest in PR, but it is very bad in career. No money, not that great opportunities. A lot of restrictions from one province to another province. For example, Canada is now not encouraging people to come to two of the greatest provinces which Indians are normally excited going about because jobs are there: British Columbia, Ontario. Canada wants you to go to Nova Scotia, wants you to go to Saskatchewan. Now, these are areas where you probably will find a lot of land, but not so much job opportunities. All right. So Canada is not a great place when it comes to career, and surely not a great place when it comes to the weather. Yet, if your goal is, all right, I need the PR as fast as I can, then Canada is possibly the best country to focus on. In spite of all the turmoil that's currently happening in Canada in terms of no part-time opportunities, you're not getting actually struggling for jobs, housing crisis is happening. In spite of that, Canada will continue to be a country of interest for many Indians because the PR is going to be fastest. I normally encourage people to look at Canada if they wish to leave India and they're not very strong academically, all right, and they're not very strong when it comes to the ambition that they have. Now, all the other countries come between these two in the spectrum, all right. Now, UK is one such. Now, let's try to understand how can you get the PR. Now, when I say this, I'm talking about a student who is competitive enough, all right. All right, you go for a program which is a one-year program. So you do your master's for 1 year. Now, after 1 year, let us say you don't get employment. All right. I will also look at a condition when you do get employment. Let us say after 1 year, you don't get employment. Then what happens is you get 2 years of postgraduate work visa. So you work for the 2 years. Now, at the end of the 2 years, let us say you get employment in a sponsored company in an area of shortfall, and you have that minimum salary threshold that they have defined there. In which case you will move from here to what is known as the skilled work visa route, which is the tier 2 visa as they call it. All right. So you move from there to the tier 2 visa. Now, once you come to tier 2 visa, then what happens? You need to forgive me a bit earlier. I had talked about PR in UK as H1 visa. It is basically the green card, all right. H1B visa is equivalent to the skilled work visa or tier 2 visa of the UK. Just a small correction. All right. So after 2 years of working in student work visa, you have moved to skilled work visa. You work continuously for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, that means you have spent so far how many years? 1 year for education, 2 years in postgraduate work visa, 5 years in tier 2 visa. That is 8 years are over. At the end of the 8 years, you can immediately apply for ILR. ILR is the indefinite leave to remain. All right. Now, this is equivalent to the green card. Once you get the ILR within 1 year, then you have the right to ask for the citizenship. You can apply for citizenship. It is not a right, but you can apply for it, which means in 9 years in the UK, you become the citizen of UK. Now, this is under a condition. Now, is there a better situation? Answer is yes. What is that situation? You go and do 1 year of masters, and the area where you do masters is good, and the college is good, and guess what? You are good. And when I say you are good in language skills, you are good in networking, and you understand a bit of British culture, etc., etc. So after 1 year of doing your masters, you immediately get a good job. You get a good job in a company which is sponsored. You get a good job in the area which comes under shortage occupancy list, or as UK now calls it as, immigrant salary list, and you get that minimum salary required. Now, if you are able to do so, immediately you can convert to the tier 2 visa or the work visa. Therefore, you are not actually taking advantage of the postgraduate work visa of 2 years. So 1 year of masters, then you immediately go to tier 2, 5 years you work in that, then you can apply for ILR, and then you can get citizenship, which means 1 year of masters, 5 years, that means 6 years now, 5 years of work visa, 1 year of ILR, Mubarak ho, in now, therefore you have been able to cut short by another 2 years. So this is what you're going to fight for. So does UK give you a pathway to the PR? Answer is yes. But remember, this pathway is not given to everyone. It is given to students who are good and students who are coming in areas where they need talent. and they're good enough to get that minimum salary, in effect, you are not actually substituting a native of the UK. You are complementing them. This is point number 2. Now I'm going to be talking about point number 3. Point number 3 is, quite often students ask me, I want to go to the UK, I want to take management courses. The normal perception is UK colleges are known only for management courses and jobs are there only in the field of management. Is this right? Answer is no, it's not. Now, ask anyone. The first and foremost you should understand is, before management courses became very popular, and yes, UK is quite popular for management courses, they were very well known for literature and art. All right, that is in this area of art. So Cambridge, for example, language skills, I'm sure you're aware of. There are a lot of companies, colleges, they are very, very popular, very strong in dramatics, in cinematography, paintings. So they were always very strong in art. Yes, they have become very popular in management, but are jobs only management oriented? All right, now I'm going to be sharing this screen once again. All right, now understand the fact that it's very important you understand each country. Why? Because at the end of the day, what matters is what are the jobs which are there. All right, just confirm that you're able to hear me. Let me quickly. Okay, yeah. All right. It's important that you know the economy of each country, because that economy is going to drive your possibility of getting yourself a job. Now, for a minute, I'm going to leave the shortage occupancy list. I'm going to be focusing on what businesses are there in the UK. If you look at India, you have IT companies in quite a few places, but Bangalore is the Silicon Valley of India. Hyderabad is doing well, Chennai is doing well, Jaipur is coming up, Gurgaon is coming up. But Indian economy is technology driven. If you're talking about finance, Mumbai. If you're talking about HR, Bengaluru. If you're talking about sales and marketing, probably Gurgaon. So the point that you need to understand is opportunities are spread out. So you should know what sort of opportunities are there in a country. You should know what more opportunities are there. For example, in India, if you're a mechanical engineer, I mean, jobs are there, but where are the jobs as much in number? Now, if you are in pharma, if you are in, in areas like biotechnology, man, there are no jobs. So it's very important that you understand the economy of a country. Now, if you look at this, there are a lot of countries, a lot of cities within the UK which are known for certain sectors. All right, Manchester is amazingly known for creative industries. If you look at Bristol, it's very, very famous for aerospace. If you look at northwestern side of it, pharmaceutical. If you look at Aberdeen, which is on the top, much of northern, it's basically in Scotland, fantastic place, but it's very, very rich in oil and gas industry. So the reality is, if you look at UK, because UK also embraced capitalism, there's a lot of opportunity that is coming there, but that opportunity is spread in various geographies. And it's very important that whichever area that you're specializing in, you map to where the jobs are. And those are the colleges that you need to be focusing on. So industry is well spread out. Let's not forget, the UK is the second largest when it comes to the economy in the Europe. So it does have a lot of opportunities in pockets in different forms. All right, in areas even beyond management. Let me give you an example of auto industry. I'm sure you have heard about Jaguar, because Tatas have taken over that. Indian company, so many people say. So you have a lot of companies related to automotive engineering, which means job opportunities are there. If you look at technology, I'm sure you know of Silicon Valley, but I'm not sure whether you know that in every country we call Silicon Valley. Or in Bengaluru is what is known as the Silicon Valley of India. Similarly, you have Silicon Valley even in the UK. All right, in UK you have Silicon Fen, you have Silicon Glen. Now UK, in these areas you find a lot of startups, highly concentrated startups in certain areas. So if you, for example, are interested in going to a product company, or if you're an electronics and communication engineer, then you should be looking at Silicon Glen as an area which is very, very strong in semiconductor areas. Similarly, biotechnology, amazingly strong in areas around Cambridge. All right, Cambridge is towards the northeast of London. Similarly, if you look at gaming, the world's best gaming industry is sitting in Edinburgh, in Scotland. or the northern UK. So the bottom line is technology also it's hot, but these are pockets, and it's very essential that you understand those pockets. Aerospace engineering, here Airbus is manufacturing is sitting there here. So UK is very, very strong for aerospace engineering. Pharmaceutical, it is amazingly. Health sector is one of the hottest areas. So if you come from biotechnology area, if you come from pharmacy area, you come from dental, medicine, I don't know whether you're aware, getting a medical seat in the UK is considered to be phenomenally tough. All right. And there are a lot of students who write competitive exams to try to get into it during the undergraduation level. So you have a lot of companies which are pharmaceutical companies based out of UK, both on the research side as well as the production side. Now, if you were to look at, all right, in India, we talk about technology, all right? Uh, Similarly, what would UK stand for? These are the top areas of job in UK. Now, this comes more also because of the positioning of UK. UK was once upon a time a political superpower. Now it is still powerful in spite of the Brexit that has happened. And I will be talking about Brexit shortly. It's still the headquarters as far as the trade is concerned for the Europe as well as Africa. All right. New countries are trying to come up. New cities are trying to come up to compete against the UK. For example, Dubai is trying to center itself as a head for the African area, and now Nairobi in Africa is trying to compete against Dubai. Nairobi is asking why the shit should the central area of trade be outside Africa. So countries are trying to compete, but UK still remains to be strong. Health sector and social work, amazing opportunity. I have students, including engineers, who have taken up job in social work just to get a chance to go to the UK and get themselves a job and the PR. Financial services, London is the hub for financial services. Logistics and transport, a huge opportunity, and this opportunity is also increased because of Brexit. What is Brexit and how it has improved the logistics and transport is also something which I will talk about going forward. Construction, civil engineers, all right, especially surveying, etc. Opportunity there. So these are various areas of opportunity once comes here. Okay. All right, now we are now going to be focusing on the next important point. The point I'm going to be discussing is a question people ask: does UK have good colleges? Now, normally, whenever we talk about good colleges, our mind immediately goes to Harvard, Columbia, Stanford, and there's a perception that US colleges are FADU. Are US colleges FADU? Answer is yes. But understand the fact that there are a lot of colleges in UK which are equally FADU. All right. Now you look at QS ranking. I'm going to first focus on rankings. All right. Not that I give too much weightage to rankings. As I keep saying, a top college in Bihar probably is not as valuable to me as an average college in Bengaluru. But nevertheless, this area right now we are focusing on the academic standing of the colleges. So let me talk about the ranking. One of the most popular global ranking is the QS ranking. Guess which is the college number one in the globe? It is University of Oxford. And guess where it is? It's in UK. All right. Oxford is a city in the northwest side of London. And Oxford is, by the way, the oldest university that we talk about in the UK and the Europe. The world's number two in QS ranking is Cambridge University, which is the second oldest in the UK. So there are amazing set of colleges. All right, now let me share the slide again so that you. Okay, look at this. I talked about Oxford University. I talked about Cambridge University. Imperial College London is another big college to focus on. A bit expensive, but amazingly strong in the area of science, technology, and medicine. It's ranked 6th globally in QS ranking. University College London, UCL, is ranked 9th. Again, very strong in research, etc. So if you were to look at the world's top 10 colleges, you have 4 of them sitting there. So the point that you need to understand is UCL is a bit expensive though. Or the point that you need to understand is that the quality of education that we talk about in UK is extremely high. In fact, many will say in areas of literature, medicine, etc., it is the best in the world. All right. So colleges are there. You have top colleges. As much as we talk about Ivy League institutions in the US, we talk about Russell Group institutions. There are 24 in number. In the UK, again, these are big brands. Getting a degree from here is seen to be a big deal. All right. Getting a degree from here will give you a global demand, creates a global demand for you. One of the lady students of mine, Alankriti, she basically has gone to UCL this year. That's the kid in the front. You see the lady standing behind. She is Miss Jayalakshmi. She's an IS officer. She's currently the Chief Commissioner of Land Administration in Andhra Pradesh government. Father is an IFS officer. Now, you have municipal commissioners. All the young municipal commissioners, all the municipal commissioners of Andhra Pradesh report to the Chief Commissioner of Land Administration, which is what is Ms. Jayalakshmi. She's currently in UCL. So there are a lot of students, and she has gone without experience. All right. The point that you need to understand is getting into top colleges in UK is not tough. Getting into top college in US is phenomenally tough. So that is something that you have to remember. There are other institutions which are not coming on, or also classified as a red brick institutions. They are known as red brick institutions because when you go there and look at the architecture, they are all through that red bricks. During the olden era in the UK, they used to paint it red. They used to have red bricks. So these are also good colleges. You have new age universities known as plate glass university. The reason it's known as plate glass is if you look at glasses, because if you look at the infrastructure, the way they have architecture, it's using more of glass. These are modern universities. Again, fantastic. These are the ancient universities. When I talk about ancient universities, these are universities which were founded earlier. There's a lot of history that goes in. If you look at, I said Oxford. Oxford is the oldest. So there are a few students and professors in Oxford who were attacked. So they ran away to Cambridge, created another institution known as University of Cambridge, and then of course St Andrew in the Scotland, Glasgow in the Scotland, Edinburgh in the Scotland. These are huge infrastructure, universities. So if you were to go to the universities, when you talk about from the infrastructure point of view, let me assure you, you will fall in love. All right, the lot of investment, great corpus in terms of finance, and therefore good opportunity of scholarship, which one can get if you are able to make it into these colleges. Now, let's not forget, and this is something which I will tell you, UK, the chances of getting scholarship is also much higher because, as I said, institutions have been for a long time. So their endowment, that is the funds that they have, is huge. What these colleges do is they keep the funds in FD equivalent and then investment, and then they rely on the interest to subsidize the education for students who are good. So yes, there's no denying in the fact that when it comes to the quality of education, UK is amazingly strong. Let's not forget that is probably one of the reasons that many people from Europe who don't want to go to the capitalistic US, because as I said, in US, the challenges are high in spite of the fact that the salary is also high, prefer UK as a destination. All right. Please go on firing certain questions that you have. I will take them up after my basic presentation is over. All right, now let's talk about the next area. The next area is that, is UK not a choice or the first choice for the US citizens? Okay, let's see. That's not true. See, as I said, Indian students are not idiots. We know what we want to a large extent, all right? Now, there is a herd mentality that exists. We tend to follow what our seniors have done, what others are telling us, but we are not idiots. We go to places where the opportunities are. That is a fact. Now, if you are a person chasing money, willing to take the uncertainty that US has to offer, yes, you'll go to the US. But if you are a person, as I said earlier, interested in settling fast, I need the PR and I don't care about the nature of job, how much money I make, I just want to settle in, then Canada is the best. So there are quite a few people who do go to Canada. Now, if you are a person who says, nahi yaar, money to chahiye thoda, but yes, I need the stability that Canada has to offer, then UK becomes a choice. So there are a lot of kids, including in Condura, I know of, whose first focus area is the UK. And off late, because of the uncertainty that is happening in the US, then people are preferring UK in a big way. The fact that Canada is in big soup, the fact that Australia has come out with policies which are not as friendly anymore, especially for students from Telugu speaking states and Punjab and Haryana. There are a lot of people who are now looking at UK in bigger numbers. All right. Now, but is UK actually as popular as the US? No, but it's very closely popular. Let me share certain numbers with you on that. This is basically focusing on the number of students who have gone abroad in the year 22, 23. Now, UK is, of course, US is, of course, a big country, all right? 2.7 lakh Indians were given the visas, students. Now, if you look at UK, which is a very small country, geographically speaking, population-wise speaking, okay, understandable too, but 1.43 visas were provided last year. In fact, last year, India has come out to be the largest set of students preferring the UK, much higher than even China. So, is UK a first choice for Indians? Answer is, for quite a few Indians, answer is yes. Now, why is it so? Now, as I said earlier, one, of course, is the high quality of education. The universities are genuinely very good. The second is you can get admission into top colleges much easily, which is not the case in the US. In the US, the way the admission process has been put in, as well as the competition that US offers for admission, does not allow you to get into top colleges. There was a recent article I read yesterday which talked about Harvard, how Harvard is denying opportunity to quite a few Indians because it doesn't want the campus to become Indian. All right. Now, that is not true for many other institutions like Caltech, etc., where the admission is based on your skill levels. But the competition in Caltech and other top colleges in US is so high that for an average student, and majority of us probably come in that category, getting into these colleges is nearly impossible. So UK, however, you can get admission into the top schools as well. The reason is very simple. What UK has done is that it has lower benchmark for international students than their own citizens. So let us say you are there, you have a brother of yours who is now a UK citizen. Both of you have a very similar profile. For both of you apply to a given college, your chances of getting admission to the college is much more than that of your brother who is a UK citizen now. Now, why is that? The answer is very simple. We pay more fees. So what colleges are doing is knowing fully well that there's a contribution that comes in terms of financial contribution, which allows them to provide for the salaries, etc., etc. Because the fees that international students pay is higher, they have a quota whereby they encourage international students to get admission, even if the benchmark is on the lower side. So getting admission into top colleges is easy. Yes, colleges like London School of Business is a little competitive. King's College, I mean, there are a lot of colleges where if you have a decent enough profile, you can make it. And even if you have a little above average profile, quite a few Russell Group institutions, you can make it. Annually, we have at least about 42 students who go to Russell Group institutions, who are all from places like Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam, our centers, people who do not have work experience, whose GPA is about 8-ish. But yes, the SOP has to be strong enough, but all those are under control. So you get access to high quality education and to good brands. Number two, let's not forget the advantage that you get in the Europe. I talk about Europe because Europe masters is a bit different. Europe undergraduation is also very different. European undergraduation is 3 years, but when it comes to the US in undergraduation is for 4 years. US masters is for 2 years. So is Canada's, for example, Australia's, for example, but European masters is for 1 year. Now, why is it that the duration is different? The answer is very simple. What UK says is, why should I repeat? Let me give you an example. Let us say you have finished your 12th class in college in India, in school in India, and then you go for your engineering in India. First year, you are repeating the courses that you've already done in 11th and 12th. UK says, yeah, kids have already passed that. Why should I repeat it? So UK will not repeat it. Similarly, if you look at US, the number of classes that you have on an average would be about 9 hours per week. UK, you'll be working harder. So UK says, why should I ask the student to spend 2 years to do the masters when I can provide the same number of hours in 1 year by increasing the number of hours per day and by focusing on what students don't know rather than repeating what students know. That is how they have compressed the undergraduation. Now, when it comes to masters, the same philosophy exists, all right? But beyond that, what UK does is it says masters is for those people who know what they want to do. So in US, you will see a program like MS in computer science, where in the first semester you are taught everything. UK, you are not going to see that. You're going to see MS in computer science in financial sector. You're going to see MS in AI. Now, within MS in AI, you are going to have MS in AI for finance, MS in AI for business. So it is more narrower. Europe believes the fact that masters is not about being a generalist, it's about the depth of education. So in UK, like in other European countries, you will learn depth, you do not learn breadth. In US, you learn breadth, and then in the second year, you go to depth. So this is a reason why the duration is shorter in UK. All right. Now, what is the implication of that? Implication of that is you're spending less time studying, which basically means you're spending less amount of money. So fees is lower. In fact, UK is the cheapest among the countries that Indians normally prefer going to, even for quality colleges. You are spending less amount of money in your expenses or daily expenses, because you need to pay the rent only for a year. Similarly, living expenses, etc., only for a year. All right. Now, the next advantage is scholarships are much possible, because these institutions, as I said, they are historic, they're old, so they have a huge corpus. And they do a lot of consultancy assignments, which basically means scholarships become easier. Quite a few institutions will give scholarships if you are good. Quite a few institutions, which are average institution, will give you thoda to everyone. All right. So scholarships do become easier. In the job front, it has an advantage. As I showed earlier, UK is a center for a lot of sectors: finance, construction, health sector, phenomenally, pharmaceutical, aerospace, automobile. So you have wider choice of specializations that you can choose from. It's the second largest economy, and UK has one more advantage. In spite of the Brexit, many companies which are European companies have their offices and headquarters in UK. So quite a few students, what they do is if they want to shift from UK to Europe, they join the European companies in UK, and then after a few years, they transfer from there to the mainland. That allows you to go to France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Finland, Norway, Sweden, etc. So it also allows you a pathway to the European side. As I said earlier, UK has a big advantage because it allows you the PR. But there's one big advantage that UK offers, which no other country offers: visas. Every country visa process is complex. UK, it is more structured, more predictable, and therefore UK offers visa rules which are the most liberal. And therefore, UK is a fantastic place, especially for people who come with a challenging backgrounds financially. In UK, 100% loan is enough. You don't need to have any saving, which is not what will be acceptable to Australia or to Ireland for that matter. But UK says it's okay. All right. So UK is a fantastic place for people who are coming from backgrounds which is challenging and going to rely on education loan, but they don't wish to take too much of education loan because they don't want to have too much burden. It's a good country to go to for quality education. UK also is very safe, and that is a point that I would like to talk about. I don't know whether you're aware, gun culture doesn't exist in UK. All right. It's not that occasional shootings don't take place. They do take place, but gun culture does not exist. I don't know whether you're aware. Next time, whenever you're looking at any sitcoms or any detective movies which are UK based, check it out. Even police do not carry guns. They carry bantams, danda, lathi. All right. It's only certain. So if I am a policeman, I am a detective, I don't carry guns. I'm not allowed to carry guns. But yes, if I find myself in a situation which requires it, I'll call an assault team. So there are certain teams which are licensed to carry guns. You cannot. There are certain states in the US where you can just walk into a shop, throw money, put the gun, take the gun and walk away. There are certain states in the US where you can flaunt that you have a gun, so you can place it like a cowboy. Everyone can see that you're carrying a gun. It's all right. In UK, all that is not accepted. So from the gun culture perspective, it's amazingly safe. Uh, uh, the road system is safe, so the accident wise, etc., is it's okay. Yeah, you do have an issue of drunkenness there, but then guess what? That's there everywhere. Part-time job opportunity wise, UK is way ahead of what US can offer because the rules itself are different. In US, for example, you can only work as a student. When you're working part-time, you can work only within the campus legally. In the UK, you can work outside as well. All right. UK part-time jobs become much easier if you are a good communicator. You are smart enough. The reason is, if you look at UK is also a tourist destination. There are a lot of Indians who go to the UK. So during and the season of tourism in UK is year long. So you will find a lot of restaurants, you will find hotels which will give students part-time opportunities. But these opportunities are given to students who are good communicators. All right, you need to learn because UK service industry gives a lot of people part-time opportunities. So bottom line is, part-time wise, if you're smart enough, it is there. If you're not smart enough, you're not a good communicator, your English is not as good, it becomes a bloody challenge. Having said that, there are a lot of companies, like I talked about, logistics companies, etc., where a lot of students take up stocking, they take care of the warehousing, etc., doing the part-time opportunities. But if your English is not very good, you're not a very good communicator, you're not very confident, then yes, the part-time opportunities will not be for you. People who have those skills will end up getting the part-time opportunities. UK has one more advantage for a student. Unlike in US, Australia, Ireland, etc., UK is more liberal when it comes to backup. When it comes to backlogs, etc. All right. So if you happen to have backlogs, UK says, "Have you finished it?" If you finished it, it is willing to overlook that. All right. Now in US, it doesn't just look at backlogs; it also looks at number of attempts. What's the difference between the two? One subject you failed twice, it is one backlog, 2 attempts. So UK is also open to the break. For example, you finish your graduation, you are searching for a job 1 or 2 years, you did not get the job, and now you think that, all right, let me do my higher education, probably that will give me a pathway to a career. You now wish to apply to Australia. Australia will question you big time. Why did you not work? What were you doing? Ireland is going to be questioning you. Canada is going to be questioning you. UK is not going to bother as much. So UK, in my view, is a fantastic place for someone who wants to restart. Recently, I had a student of mine who was preparing for civil services. He gave 3 attempts, ended up with 3-year gap, and his profile was average enough profile. It was a struggle. Australia was simply not in play, nor was Ireland in play. US was a bit in play, but it's still a risky thing because when you go for the visa, explaining the gap is not very easy in the US. UK, it's okay. UK also allows for movement from one to another, which is what is known as interdisciplinary. To cite an example, I have a student of mine, a chemistry MSc graduate, a very smart character who was parallelly doing computers. He was interested always in computers, and unfortunately, on account of the parental reasons, he had to take up science. He took up chemistry. So he got MSc in chemistry. All right. And the reason he got MSc was very easy. His focus was, I want to go to the US. Now, in US, 3 years of undergraduation, you have limited options. So he even did his master's so that he will have, he meets the minimum criteria of 4 years of undergraduation. His idea was to go for technology area, but guess what? Colleges said no. So interdisciplinary shift is not very easy in the US. It's surely not possible in Australia and Ireland, but it is very much possible in the UK. So depending on your background, you will have that. UK also has one advantage. You have Indians everywhere, not so much in crowd. If you look at the US, there are certain areas which I call as an Indian area. North Carolina, for example, Texas, for example. Here in UK, you will find Indians everywhere, including Scotland, Leeds, etc. Not so many numbers, but you will find them. You get Indian food in the UK, which is not very easy to find in the US in certain areas, especially the mid USA. So from the diversity perspective, Indian setting perspective, yes, UK again provides a lot of advantage. Okay, now I'm going to come to the more important areas focused for you. Jobs. Are jobs available in the UK? Let's not forget the whole world is going through challenging time. People say it's a recession. I disagree. Inflation to an extent I would agree, but it's not a recession. It is technological disruption, in my view. Low-end jobs are being taken over by AI since the day ChatGPT was released. A lot of developments have happened in the field of AI. So yes, every country is suffering, having a bad time. If you're not skilled, that is. If you're skilled, jobs are there, money is there. Now, remember when I say every country, I'm also including India. In India, people who are good are getting jobs and they're getting high paying jobs. All right. So if you look at companies like TCS, Wipros, and all those, they are recruiting more at the higher end, lesser at the lower end. All right. That is more because of the technological disruption that has been brought in by AI. Every country, every company, whether it's a technology company or a non-technology company, is today focusing on AI. And that is expected to continue. So yes, UK has its own set of challenges, but which country does not, including India? But that's not the point. Now let's look at UK a little more carefully. What happened in UK? UK was a part of what we call as a European Union. So UK was a part of European Union, which basically meant that UK people could go to France, Germany, etc. without visa. Not just travel, they could actually go there, work, settle. Indians can't do that. For us to go and work, we need a visa. All right. It was a part of European Union, and then one fine day, not one fine day, the debate went for a long time. Then a referendum took place. UK left European Union, which basically means that a UK person cannot go to France anymore without a visa. Which also means that people from France, Netherlands, Italy, Germany, etc., cannot come to UK and work without work visa. During Brexit, before Brexit, when UK was a part of European Union, it was a bad news for Indians. Because for a company to recruit us, all right, for a company to recruit us, they had to pay for the visas. But for them to recruit, let us say, German, they did not have to. Which basically meant that companies would have a bias for European Union people than Indians. So Indians were not getting jobs. Now, there was a second issue. This is the issue that exists in Germany also these days. Every country has a rule. The rule is first preference should be given to their own citizens. So what was the rule earlier? It's very similar to the Germany. So let me give you a German position right now. In Germany, the rule is first preference will be given to the Germans. If Germans are not there, companies would have to look for European Union citizens. Only if European Union citizens are not there, then they can look for other immigrants. There again, we have a problem. What is the problem that we have in Germany? There, let us say Germany people are not there. Let us say European Union people are not there also. So companies now start looking for immigrants. They would prefer immigrants coming from countries where their first language is Germany or the second language is Germany. All right. So they would prefer people from the Northern Africa side, where a lot of countries actually, the second language is German. And only if they are not there, Indians come into picture. So the same issue was happening in the UK pre-Brexit, where the first preference will be given to the UK, second preference would be given to the European Union countries, and there are amazing number of countries there. And only if not there, people who could speak English, there we did have an advantage, yes. So unlike in Germany, we were not the fourth, here we were still the third. And then Brexit happened. The moment Brexit happened, for a UK company, they had to look for people from, UK. And if they are not there, then immigrants. And in those immigrants, we Indians were followed because we are actually smart enough intellectually. All right. So the job market for Indians became huge, and that is why UK became popular. Now, let me go back again. So Brexit happened just around the time where the UK economy was doing quite well. And then Brexit happened. Because Brexit happened, all the European people who were working in the UK who did not get the work visa had to leave. And suddenly, there was a huge requirement for talent. Now, what UK assumed was the fact that that talent gap will be filled by immigrants coming from India and various countries. But then COVID happened. Because COVID happened, travel restrictions took place in UK. Therefore, jobs were there, but manpower was not there, and the economy got hit badly. So farmers had ingredients. Supermarkets did not have the food. because there was no one to drive from the farm to the supermarket. So when I say shortage was not just in the engineering field, etc. It was there in even labor, and that resulted in UK economy getting hit badly. Now, what they did do was, the shortage was there even in nurses, because quite a few European nurses also had to leave. So they didn't have the nurses. During the COVID time, they needed nurses. And that is when they came out with a special visa. They encouraged a lot of Indian nurses to apply. And we had a sad cases in quite a few hospitals in Kerala. All the nurses left Kerala and India and went to UK. All right. Suddenly, we didn't have nurses in Kerala or many hospitals. So the bottom line is, opportunity is there in UK. Jobs are there. Question is not whether jobs are there or not. Question is, are you ready for those jobs? Because those jobs are not for everyone. Those jobs are for people who are good. And this is where one of the very important elements I keep telling my kids, yaar, when you go to a foreign country, you need to fight much more harder, because you cannot go there for lower salaries, nor can you be staying unemployed. Okay, second, as I said earlier, part-time jobs are there, but it is there for people who can speak or who can interact, because most of the part-time jobs which are higher paying are there in service industry, which requires you to interact. And that, as I said earlier, is also positive more because of the tourism that exists, which needs more people, seasonal people, all right, who can communicate. Let's not forget what I said earlier too. Unlike in the US, in the UK, you can work outside, all right. But there's one big point. Let us say you are a person whose English is not as good. Let us say you are not very, for some reason, you want to be with the Indians. All right, so you want to go to Rome and make Rome into India. In that situation, UK is bad. Because there's a big difference between the US and the UK. I'm going to tell you an example, and this is, of course, I'm stretching it a bit, but this is our example. Let us say I'm an Indian. I'm an Andhraite. I'm a Vizag person. So, as an Andhra student from Visakhapatnam, I can go to a college in Texas in the USA, sit in a classroom where 95% of the students are Andhrites, finish my master's, join a company where the owner is an Andhraite, employees are Andhrites, stay in a community of Andhrites, be in US but in Andhra of US, and after 10 years of staying in the US, you come to meet me in Kondira, you sit next to me and you start speaking to me like an Andhraite. No English accent, no American accent, nothing. Perfect Andhra Vijayanagaram accent. You can continue to do so. So you'll find a lot of students, a lot of people who are in the US who come to India and they're still Indians. All right. Not like Sundar Pichai. Sundar Pichai, I'm sure if you have heard, you will realize the fact that the accent is American. No. These are guys who wish to make India everywhere. Now, if you are in such a category, then US is the best place to be. You will find Indians in certain states. But in UK, that doesn't happen like that. In UK, when you go to the colleges, Indians will be there, no doubt. But you'll find foreigners, you'll find people coming from Europe in a big way. When you look for a job, you'll realize the fact that ownership is not as much with Indians. There are quite a few Caucasians who are the owners. Majority will be Caucasians. When you join the company, you'll realize that you're surrounded by the whites, you're surrounded by the blacks, you're surrounded by people from Europe. In effect, you need to integrate. And you should be open to that. And if you are open to that, let me make one promise. Part-time jobs are there, internships are there, jobs are there. Now I am going to be talking about you. Remember, we need work visa. So I'm going to be answering one question which someone has asked. Areas of demand is more, sir. Now, areas of demand, I have already discussed. I'm not going to take that up, all right? I'm going to talk about areas of short SOL. Remember, if area of demand is there, but that does not come under shortage occupancy list, you will not get the work visa. So we need to know where are demands, and we need to know which comes under shortage occupancy list, which will increase your chances of getting the work visa. Because without the work visa, PR will not come. In fact, without the work visa, you can't stay in the UK too. All right. So now I'm going to once again share the screen to show you the areas. Now, go ahead, take a step of this if you wish to. This is the shortage occupancy list. Not a very comprehensive one, but a very important one. Certain areas you have jobs. Healthcare, always. IT and technology, areas like cyber security. There's amazing opportunity in the UK for cyber security, a huge thing in game development, etc. In engineering, you have opportunities, especially in the green engineering side. For civil engineers, surveying is one of the hottest that you have in the UK. Construction opportunities are there. If you are on the creative side, science and research, especially biological medicine research, even clinical research, huge amount of opportunity in clinical research side. I know of many people who are from veterinary background, physiotherapy background, all right? Huge opportunity for physiotherapy. Unfortunately, in India, physiotherapists are not treated with respect. They are seen as more gym masters rather than anything else. Uh, so these are known as shortage occupancy list. Now remember, in UK, they have changed the term. They have now written it as immigrant salary list, all right? So these are the areas where we need to look for. You also have in logistics in a big way, and Brexit has actually resulted in more opportunities coming in the area of supply chain and logistics. To explain why, the answer is very simple. Because previously, when Brexit had not happened, one could take a car and drive comfortably. One could take the goods and go to the Europe. Now restrictions are there, which basically needs people who are aware of the rules, etc. So there's a huge opportunity in the area of logistics. When it comes to the human resources side, if you are good at learning and development, opportunities are there. Management has always been a hot area, but not every area of management. Therefore, these come under categories of demand. Now, if you look at salaries, now this is a very important thing that you need to understand. Let's try to understand what is the 38700. This is the number that you need to understand. 38700 Great British Pound. That is the annual salary that you should get to get the work visa. Which means after 2 years of postgraduate work visa, maximum 2 years of postgraduate work visa, you should not just get a job in a company which is sponsored. You should get a minimum salary of 38700. However, UK also says if you are new entrant, which means no experience, you have just finished your masters, you do not have experience, it recognizes the fact that you might not get 38700. It says, all right, if you are getting a job of 20960, I will give you the work visa immediately after your masters. But that number is only for new immigrants. Do remember, these numbers go on changing, go on increasing actually, but these numbers are not only limited. If you are in special areas like health, etc., the requirement is lesser because they need health workers in a big way. All right. So if you are from pharma background, physio background, etc., doctors, dental doctors, the requirement is lesser. So that number you need to achieve. So let's look at now someone. I am an IT specialist. So I go to the UK, I go to some college, I get a job as a data scientist. I'm looking at the point number 2, and I join as a software developer in a company. What salary do I get? I get about $30,000, 30,000 pounds. Let us say it doesn't increase to 38,700. That means I am done. So you should come to from a decent enough college, have a decent enough profile to see to it that over the maximum of 2 years, all right, your salary goes to 38700. Now, yes, you can take advantage of new entrant, but new entrant getting a job is not very easy at a higher salary because companies normally pay a little lower during the postgraduate work visa time. So these are important. As I did say, clinical research area is a very exciting area. Regulatory affairs for students coming from pharma background is one of the hottest that we have in the UK. Supply chain is an exciting area. The day before yesterday, I was interacting with few kids from BBA background or from one of the leading colleges in Visakhapatnam. They were talking about HR. I said, don't go to HR. If you want to go for training, it's fine enough. Otherwise, see if you're open to going to the area of supply chain management, etc. So opportunities are there, but you need to be sure that the area that you are going to go to is the area that has not just opportunities but also salaries. So I had planned the session for an hour. We are exceeding it by 8 to 9 minutes, but that is the background. I am going to be encouraging you people to therefore think a little bit about UK. We are going for a peak season right now. Most of the colleges will be closing for the January intake shortly. Unlike in US and Australia, etc., UK colleges are open for a longer duration. The demand for UK colleges has actually skyrocketed, as I said, because of what is happening in Australia, Canada, etc. But yeah, even the Russell Group institutions are still open. In case you wish to interact with me one-to-one, have any queries, if you're already students of Condira, then I'm sure we have different channels for you to interact with me. But if you're not, the number is something that we are already given to you. Please feel free to get in touch. We provide, I do a lot of guidance to the students, especially from the perspective of visa and the work visa. The reason I keep saying it's not about college, because you are not going for education, you are going for a job and the PR. So let me understand what your interests are, then maybe I'll be able to guide you on the specialization that you need to focus. I also help students write SOPs. The reason I write is very simple. The SOPs because I find students are good at writing but not powerfully selling. All right. When you're trying to get into the best of the best colleges, then it's very essential that the SOP is reflecting what you've done and is advertising you. We also provide end-to-end solutions that include assistance towards visa, loan tie-ups, accommodation hunting, and various other things. So feel free to write to me. In case I find any questions there, I will take it up right now. If you do have any queries, please make it a point to write it down. I will be hopefully on a weekly basis, if not weekly, at least on a fortnightly basis. I will make it a point to cover each of these countries because I strongly believe the fact that you need to know what you are jumping into. You cannot go to a country, let us say US, and then realize the fact that that's not a good choice, and then you decide to go to another country. It's not like that. It doesn't happen like that. You go to Hyderabad, you don't like Hyderabad, tomorrow you can go pack your bags and go to Chennai, nothing, and no one will ask any question. If you go to the US and discover that US is not for you, believe me, you come back to India, after that going to any country will be an issue. A lot of questions will be asked. Similarly, visa is the biggest fight. It is not admission. People normally think that it's admission. No, it's visa. You may get an admission in a top college, but the visa authorities might not give you a visa in US. All right. I give the example of US. I am all for US. But I give the example of US because in US, visa is not subjective. It's not objective. It's very subjective. All right. You don't even know why your visa was denied. At least when it comes to Australia, Ireland, you get to know. Okay. So the bottom line is this: whenever you are taking a decision, don't take a decision because my senior went. The reason why I say that is because when your senior went, maybe that program was under SOL. Remember, shortage occupancy list goes on changing. So you need to be current on that. Get the right information to decide which specialization. Then focus on the location, more than even the college. Focus on the bloody location because you need local jobs. All right. Be very careful with your finances. Don't go for colleges that are expensive in case you are funding it through loan. But yes, emphasize on English. Emphasize on take up part-time jobs which will allow you to improve your English, become smarter, interact with whites, be comfortable interacting with the natives there, including blacks. That is essential for you to do well in UK. I do have a question that has been asked. MS in finance, does it have a huge future in UK? Finance is one area where you need to be careful about. Huge opportunities are there in UK because UK is the hub of the finance for the Europe. All right. And even globally, some might say, like New York. But the fact of the matter is, jobs in finance are going to be little limited. All right. You will have more jobs in the field of banking. I have a lot of students who go into the banking side in UK. Yes, if you're interested in banking, jobs are there. But if you're interested in investment banking, opportunity is there provided your academics is strong enough and you go to a good college. So overall, are jobs there in finance? Yes. Finance comes in different forms. If you are talking about banking, yes. If you're talking about international trade finance, yes. But remember, the salaries here are not as high as investment banking. Now, salaries are higher in investment banking, but the number of jobs are a little lesser. But to answer your question, is UK known for finance? Answer is yes. As much as Mumbai in India is known for finance, London in the UK is phenomenally known for finance. Answer is yes. All right. I have already answered this question where the demands are. I think I've answered all the questions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't have any questions, I will stop here. Thank you so much. My WhatsApp number is 8897600333, 8897600333. You can ping me up in case you have any queries. But if you're doing so, please make it a point to send me your resume along, because I need to understand your profile before I can guide. A general statement might not be a right statement. What about MS in International Business Finance? Please appreciate the fact that International Business Finance is a sectorial master's. Sectorial. What does it mean? For example, you can do specialization wise, marketing, finance, operation management, systems, etc. You can do it sectorial, insurance, hospitality. So international business comes under a sectorial program. Uh, because UK is a center of trade for Europe and Africa, yes, there's an ample opportunity in the area of international business management too. But within the area of international business management, you need to now choose which specialization. Is it finance? Is it logistics? So that way it comes. Shari US asked logistics and supply chain management. As I said, logistics and supply chain management is one of the hottest areas right now in the UK. Or not just UK, even for kids of mine who go to the US, Australia, etc. I normally recommend that, especially people interested in the field of management. The reason is e-commerce is growing in a big way, international trade is growing in a big way. And in UK, as I explained earlier, because of Brexit, the demand for logistics and supply chain professionals has actually increased. Salaries have also gone up. So answer is, Shrayu, answer is yes, in a big way. All right. So I guess those are the questions that have been put here. I guess I've answered all. Always you can reach out to me in case you have any queries. Please make it a point to subscribe to our channel, because as I do conduct various sessions going forward, I will make it a point to let you know of these sessions. You might be going to one country, get to know the rules of various countries. All right. Take the right choice, go to the right country, because we are talking about your future. It's a big sacrifice being made by you leaving your parents and going there, made by your parents sending you there, putting on you the finances that they have saved, or the loan that you're going to take. Take an informed decision. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.